Thursday, December 20th, 2016. Gina is pleased to bring you today's edition of the Government News Brief. In the news, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, will be working with the Finance Ministry to keep the local economy on course, the Ministry of Public Health's Food and Drug Department to soon carry out its mandate more efficiently, and Guyana will fully cooperate with the United Nations Secretary General on his proposed way forward on the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. Stay tuned as we bring you these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is assisting the Finance Ministry to keep the local economy on course. Paul McAdam has the details.
The Finance Ministry is being assisted in part with its fiscal planning via consultations with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Finance Minister Winston Jordan, at his year-end press conference, said that, for example, it was pointed out by the IMF that local current expenditure was outpacing capital expenditure.
Current expenditure is meant to support investment, okay? So you then can have a current expenditure, say, of $100 million and a capital expenditure of, say, $2 million. You see what I mean? And that is where we're talking about one outpacing the other, all right? There has to be a judicious balance between what we call in current expenditure and what we call in capital expenditure, which is the lifeblood of running this economy.
The Finance Minister points out that this was an area highlighted for attention.
Do a compartmentalization of expenditure, current expenditure, and find out where the expenditure is growing faster than normal. And then you seek to put in measures in place to ensure that you pull back on those without compromising. You know what I mean? For example, people generally tend to believe that you have to give more if you want more, but without appreciating that you need to first examine what you have to determine whether you could do the same thing for less or whether you could do the same thing for 30% more.
The Finance Minister gave the example of what he termed as productivity of labor.
Significant numbers of your staff coming in between 8:30 and 9, for example. Then output for that entire day will decline, especially if you're serving the public. There are only so many people you could serve because everybody will go off to lunch at their 1 o'clock, at their 12 o'clock, and so on. So if you're losing X number of hours per day by one staff and you multiply it by several staff and then you do it for a whole month, you see how much you lost, but you're paying the same salaries, if you see what I mean. So if you can improve, when you do the compartmentalization, you say, here's one area that we could improve significantly.
He further added that time management is a solution to this issue.
You will be here to start work at 8, and there'll be better supervision, so that the burden doesn't fall on 1 or 2 staff, but everybody will be doing his or her share equally in accordance with the guideline. That's why I'm using that, because the vendor could understand what I'm speaking about. If the vendor doesn't open on time, sales gone, because the person who's there since 4 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning, you're passing, you see the vendor, you say, listen, and you buy. When you saunter in at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever, you lose sales.
Once this concept can be thought of on a global or even national scale, he said, persons can appreciate some of what needs to be done. He explained that some attention must be paid to the quality of capital expenditure.
A number of roads have been built in this country over the last 23 years. When you do quality analysis, look at the bridge at Hope. That has been counted in that year's capital expenditure. But when you have to go now and fix that, it will also again count as capital expenditure that is growing. But guess what? You're more or less static, because that is a bridge that should have lasted you for X number of years with just minimal maintenance. But because of poor implementation, you now have to go spend even more money.
Ghana Minister Jordan says whilst not a beneficiary of IMF funding, is still being advised on how best to manage the economy by consultants from the agency. Paul McAdam, Government News Brief.
The Food and Drug Department of the Ministry of Public Health will in the near future be able to carry out its mandate in a more efficient manner. Delicia Haynes has the details.
Under the Program of Policy Development and Administration, the Ministry of Public Health will seek to commence necessary measures to have a modern multi-million-dollar complex. The complex will house the Government Analyst Food and Drug Department, says Minister of Public Health Dr. George Norton.
Also included in this program, Mr. Speaker, is the construction of a laboratory and administrative building for the Food and Drug Department for $111 million. A further $20.7 million will be used to procure laboratory supplies, quality control aids, and proficiency testing materials. This would include the purchasing of fume hood and a steam digester, both for the excise laboratory at a cost of $11.2 million, 2 incubators and a hot air oven for the microbiology lab at a cost of $2 million, 5 analytical balances for all the laboratories at a cost of $7.5 million.
The Food and Drug Department is currently housed at the Institute of Applied Sciences and Technology at the University of Guyana campus. This new facility will add to the overall upgrading of health testing facilities and regulatory bodies locally.
In addition, the National Public Health Reference Lab will also aim to strengthen its quality management system with the end goal of achieving the accreditation of the International Organization for Standards relating to quality management system requirement. This will certainly minimize our dependence on overseas testing.
The Policy Development and Administration Program of the Ministry of Public Health serves to ensure that there is an efficient coordination and management of human, financial, and physical resources. These elements are all necessary for the success of the administration of the ministry's operations. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
Guyana will fully cooperate with the United Nations Secretary General on his proposed way forward on Venezuela's claims to this country's territory, says Foreign Minister Carl Greenidge. Here is more.
The Foreign Affairs Minister, Carl Greenidge, today updated the House on the UN Secretary General's way forward proposal on the border controversy with Venezuela.
His decision, as jointly conveyed to Venezuela, is for the good office process to occupy the forthcoming 12-month period. If by the end of 2017 the Secretary General concludes that significant progress has not been made towards arriving at a full agreement for the solution of the controversy, he will choose the International Court of Justice as the next means of settlement, unless the governments of Guyana and Venezuela jointly request that he refrain from doing so.
The Foreign Minister told the House that government had lost faith in the good office process, but was now willing to give it one last try with the United Nations Secretary General's nominee.
It is a process that can only produce mutually satisfactory results if Venezuela cooperates fully to that end. As we say in Guyana, one hand can't clap. Guyana will cooperate in resolving the controversy that has arisen as a result of Venezuela's contention that the 1899 arbitral award is null and void. The controversy, as so defined in the Secretary General's communication received on Friday, December 16, 2016, and the 1966 Geneva Agreement itself. We hope Venezuela will do likewise. If they do not, we have readied ourselves for the International Court of Justice.
Minister Greenidge noted that the way forward envisions a conclusion to the long-standing issue.
Let us now hope that with the Secretary General's decision, the way ahead will follow the path he has identified and be freed of the impediment of aggression, economic and otherwise, that has hindered progress in the past.
Initially, the government had hoped for a resolution to the border controversy with Venezuela before UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon demitted office at the end of this year. The UN chief will be succeeded by Portuguese politician Antonio Guterres, who is expected to pick up the issue and bring an acceptable solution to it. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
Addressing loss reduction will be at the top of the power company's agenda in 2017. Here is more from Zanil Williams.
The third component of the Power Utility Upgrade Program, PUUP, which is set to begin in 2017, deals with addressing loss reduction and improving the supply of electricity distribution. GPL's acting Chief Executive Officer Renford Homer explains that the process has passed various levels of approval and the contract will be signed shortly.
There has been a preferred bidder that has gone through the various levels of approval. That includes at the cabinet level, that also includes the IDB. And of course, the preferred bidder has already been shared with the draft contract. So it is just a matter really of signing and consummating that contract. So we do expect to see them on the ground within the first quarter of 2017.
The acting CEO points out that GPL will be using its consolidated fund along with funding from the PUUP program to effectively target loss reduction.
Lot 3 of the Public Power Utility Upgrade Program focuses on loss reduction. Prior to the granting of the funding, the IDB had other funded studies done with respect to losses within the GPL system. The design of the program is as such that it is meant to deliver at the end of the program or in 2020 a sustained reduction in losses of approximately 5%. So we expect to see losses reduced to approximately 23.8% in 2020.
Meanwhile, Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson says that the upgrading of the Electrification Systems program is now joined to the PUUP program. This will see the reduction of both technical and commercial losses.
Yes, sir, I've been advised. So this program has been merged with the PUUP. It's a $5 million. It's been merged with the larger $64 million. So the impact of this one, sir, the monies we spent was negligible on the technical reduction. The larger reduction will become under the PUUP program.
For many years, the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, has been the primary source of financing for the development of the local electricity sector. The PUUP program, which was approved in 2014, is aimed at strengthening GPL's management capabilities, operational efficiency, and infrastructure improvements for loss reduction. I am Zanil Williams for the Government News Brief.
The lives of residents as well as the provision of goods and services will be significantly improved following the completion of major infrastructural work in Region 8. Isaiah Braffett tells us more.
Traveling to the community of Mahdia, the main hub in Region 8, will become easier when the main access road is completed. The concrete structure will link the Lindham-Lethem Road, Partaker Region 7, and Monkey Mountain Region 8. It will also open opportunities for Region 8 residents to transport their produce to the market in Lethem, Region 9. The improved roads will also aid in promoting tourism. Regional Democratic Councillor Mohammed Naim Ghafoor, speaking with Gina, said that the road development is happening rapidly.
I can't precisely tell you, but sometime 2018 we're supposed to cover the whole of Mahdia with good road and drain and water by 2018, but you know, development cannot never complete. As life goes on, you have to work more and more and more. Nothing could complete because once you have more people, population is rising, job never finish.
Meanwhile, Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson says roads in the hinterland are very important to the government and they will continue to make the lives of the indigenous people easier.
I'm in Mahdia right now. That is one of the reasons why Region 8 allocation is done, because I'm doing all the roads in Mahdia right now, the internal roads with rich concrete, you know what I mean. There is the Carifesta Avenue we've done, you know what I mean. And the object, and you can see we're doing a lot of road works in the urban centers, you know what I mean, not only in Georgetown, in New Amsterdam, Criverton.
In 2017, the sum of $14.1 billion has been budgeted for the continued development and maintenance of roads and bridges. $2.3 billion of that amount has been earmarked for capital projects in the hinterland. Isaiah Braffett for the Government News Brief.
We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GINA's website. GINA has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.